Steven, who do you think was happier? Me on the first day of NFL free agency or Nick Bosa meeting Trump?
Oh, it was Bosa meeting Trump. He was
I know.
ecstatic.
He was giddy.
But if you could get a day one of NFL free agency in human form, I guarantee you would treat that human that exact same way. Do you know what I'm saying?
No.
Well, you can't really you can't really see your excitement. You could visibly see it because there was something tangible in front of Nick Bosa. You don't have anything tangible in front of you. But if there was like a person that was equal to NFL free agency day one, you would treat that person the exact same way.
I mean, is the news tangible?
Not really.
Well, you're just reacting to something. The same
Sure,
thing as
but like you can't see it in real time. You can't see the two meeting each other. What am I going to look at a computer screen with you reacting to looking at your phone? No.
yes.
What are you going to do? Give a high five or a handshake to your phone? Put your arm around its little shoulders?
No, you just hear me do that noise I do when I'm excited.
Oh. Yeah, it's a weird one.
The fuckery has happened. Just your opinion, man. Stephen Langford, Derek Papa. Before we get to everything that happened in football today, good God. Trace Jackson Davis, Warriors just won. They exorcised the demons from Saturday when Steph wasn't playing, and they got shit stomped, really, by the San Antonio Spurs, minus Victor Wembanyama. But Victor Wembanyama plays, and Trace Jackson Davis just went Andrew Wiggins posterized on Luka on him right now. That was, in my opinion, the play of the year for the Warriors. I don't know how you feel, Steven, but that may start Trace Jackson Davis's career.
Yeah, I think so. At least that put him on the map because you got to do it against a number one overall pick. Any Warrior fans who have watched have seen TJD grow before our eyes. Yeah, it probably was the play of the year, just looking at the circumstances, and especially if you look at the context of how that happened with the two previous possessions where the Warriors are only up by 8, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then
109 to 101.
And they were trying to get Wembanyama the ball. But Jonathan Kuminga played good enough defense to where Wembanyama was forced into like a turnaround mid-range jumper, which is I don't care which player you are, unless you're Dirk Nowitzki, that's a low percentage shot. So they forced him into missing that. Then Chris Paul tries a little turnaround jumper on his own on the other end, misses it. Then Wemby misses another shot, and then TJD does that. So yeah, and then especially without Steph, because for all we know, this could be the last game without him, or we'll see what happens tomorrow. But yeah, at this point of the season, probably have to give it play of the year.
Well, before the podcast, you said it was something else.
Yeah, as far as like, if I'm just looking at a pure basketball play without any of that context, that one where Moody saved it from going out of bounds, hit Draymond, then Draymond hit Steph, and then Steph hit Kuminga for the alley-oop. They went cross court, basically 94 feet. I guess you'd consider it 89. But they did it without a dribble, and they did it in like 4 seconds. So that to me was just like a pure basketball play, whereas this one was just one-on-one, mano-a-mano. I'm going to yam on you. And for a second to last overall draft pick to do that on the number one guy.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be the number one play on SportsCenter tonight, and it's going to get all the NBA heads that were familiar with Trace Jackson Davis but not really know his game, going to put him on the map, like you said.
Yeah.
But I think I remember the play you're talking about, Steven, but do you even remember what team it was against?
Nope.
Exactly. So that's the point.
Yeah.
When Trace Jackson Davis does that against Victor Wembanyama, it's going to stand out. So hopefully that changes things. I think that pretty much, I would guess, is going to solidify Trace Jackson Davis in the starting lineup going forward, unless they tinker with the lineup. But we were talking about it last podcast. Kevon Looney plays less and less, and I think this guy is going to get his minutes now. And we'll see about Steph. We're going to get an update tomorrow on Steph, so we'll see what the latest is. Steve Kerr's going to come on with both radio stations tomorrow, and we'll go from there. Hopefully he plays for the Mavericks. But basketball aside, Steven, good Lord, what a crazy fuckery today.
Yeah.
I mean,
from the get-go.
Yeah, from the jump. I mean, it was the most active I've seen in quite some time.
Yeah.
Because usually there's stuff lingering for day 2 and day 3 and, when the new league year starts. And we still got some stuff that's on the back burner as far as things we're looking for, but it was just kind of nuts. Big move after big move today. It's not as crazy as a couple years ago when there was a trade every day leading up to free agency, but today was pretty nuts.
Yeah, with all these guys choosing different teams, like especially with all the releases that happened as of late. We talked about it last week, but all the safeties getting released. I don't think a lot of those guys have found new teams yet, as far as I know.
Only Kevin Byard, who
Yeah.
signed with the Bears.
Yep. And who else did they get? Charlie Warner. Didn't they get the 49ers? Charlie Warner? Isn't that what the Bears
The
got?
tight end?
Yeah. I think they also signed him too.
I'm sure they did. And
They did.
they
Oh,
got
wait. Never mind. Never mind. Excuse me. Wrong. They got DeAndre Swift. No Charlie Warner. Pardon me.
Didn't Charlie Warner sign with somebody though?
Yeah, he signed with another team. I don't remember which.
No, okay.
Off to a roaring start.
Yeah, I mean, craziness today. Yeah, DeAndre Swift goes to the Bears. I'll just go through some of these. We'll go through what the Raiders did today. We'll go through what the Niners did today. What?
Falcons. That's where Charlie Warner went. Falcons. ATL.
Well, interesting. You should bring that up because I think one of the biggest moves today is Kirk Cousins leaving for the Atlanta Falcons to be their starting quarterback, which some people are like, going to go with a 35-year-old Kirk Cousins over possibly trading for Justin Fields. But you don't have to move any capital for Kirk Cousins, and it's going to cost you a little bit. 4 years, $180 million, $100 guaranteed. But I will tell people as we go through these contracts and everything, a lot of it's funny money. A lot of it is NFL contracts are way different than baseball and basketball, where most of these players don't see all of it or most of it. So I would say, like, everybody's reacting like, "Oh my god, look at the dollar figure." It, in the grand scheme of things, like a lot of guys sign like Russell Wilson. Yeah, he's gonna get paid $39 million this year to not play for the Denver Broncos. But when he signed that contract with the Broncos, we were all like, "Holy shit!" And now, really, it amounts to nothing. It amounts to him leaving, but amounts in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't amount to him, still being one of the highest paid players in football. So these things, I mean, like releases knock out a lot of contracts. So I would say let's not overreact to a lot of things. But as far as the deals that were done today, Kirk Cousins, like I said, goes to the Atlanta Falcons. Saquon Barkley, I was shocked he actually did this, considering the hatred for both teams. Leaves the Giants, goes to the Eagles for 3 years, $37 million, 26 of it guaranteed. Brian Burns finally traded. Not my old roommate. Brian Burns of the Carolina Panthers traded to the New York Giants for a second and a fifth. You might remember the Rams offered him 2 first-round picks. Ouch. Gabe Davis goes to the Jaguars, 3 years, $39 million. Baker Mayfield goes back. Baker Mayfield signs with the Buccaneers. That's a move that was done last night. As far as just things that are done today, Russell Wilson last night signs with the Steelers for $1 million, 1.2 the league minimum, but he's getting paid $39 million, so that evens out. We'll get to the Raiders news. We'll get to the Niners news. But overall, Steven, amongst the non-Raider and Niner news today, what stood out to you the most?
Well, hang on. I want to go back to your little Russell Wilson comment. What do you mean it's just funny money? What do you mean? Because you're like acting like nobody's on the hook for that $39 million. The Broncos are paying a dead cap of $39 million because of the money that they paid him.
Well, not only that, but they're paying $85 million dead caps.
So why is this funny? You're acting like it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things?
Not for the longevity of it, the length of the contract. It's this. They have to pay $39 million this year, but then it's over.
They still have to pay $39 million, though.
Of course. But yeah, man. But like,
so you got to be smart with your funds, especially when going towards quarterbacks.
I know. But also, some teams just write it off, and they don't give a shit. Right. Happens all the time. We hear dead cap hits all the time. I remember Carson Wentz's was ridiculous with the Eagles. Matt Ryan's had a huge one with the Falcons. And yes, the Broncos have a gigantic one with the $85 million that Russell Wilson is leaving them in the hole with. But at the same time, okay, they are going to retool anyway. They needed to, and they'll reset the cap next season. That's why I'm saying, like, everything ends up evening out in the end. As far as contracts, when you realize that someone's not living up to their contract, it may fuck you for a season, but then it resets and you're fine. So I never put too much stock into the actual dollar amount when it comes to contracts, because at the end of the day, Yeah, it could screw you for a little while, but then things will even out towards the end.
Well, I guess that leads into it then. Like the number one thing, it's natural. The number one thing is the quarterback. Um, and Kirk Cousins going to Atlanta. Like that's the number one deal as far as I don't know, just the biggest one in terms of guaranteed money, extended amount of years. The Falcons feeling
Yeah.
like they're going for it there. Um, at least guaranteeing him 100 of that 180 million. Um, and I did text you at first. I was kind of questioning it, but like and my original thought was, do you really want to pay that with Kirk Cousins? Really? Like, are you gonna? Is that who you think is gonna win you a Super Bowl? I don't think the Falcons look at it like that. I think they're looking at it. They think they can maybe get a bargain for Cousins when the quarterback market goes up, and you got to pay $50 million to these guys, like almost on average, if they're any good. If you want to keep them around, and I see it as they're going to make this team better, but I also think that in order to save them from all of that, that balancing out that you're talking about, you got to draft someone who's eventually willing to take over. Like you can't trust him for all those 4 years to get you to where you want to go. Like at some point, they're going to have to develop somebody because I think that's where the Vikings kind of went, right? Like the Vikings don't really have anywhere to turn to
Oh, they
through
do.
quarterback.
Oh,
Who's
they
that?
do. What I suggested Kolsky last episode.
Who? Justin Fields?
If they're willing to do that, or I've heard, I guess, or not what I've heard, but what I've read is that they're interested in Sam Darnold.
Well, then there you go. So that's where you can end up. You can end up like the Vikings, who can trade for a guy who you said's not better than Kirk Cousins, and you could trade for Sam Darnold. Like that's where they're at right now. Or the
Yeah,
Falcons.
I mean,
Rather. That's where they could be.
You're talking about the Vikings or Falcons?
Falcons. That's where they could be. They could be in this situation like the Vikings are this year, where you're going to have to make some drastic move, or you're going with a backup quarterback to start your season.
Well, they could also just see that they just drafted Desmond Ridder, and while he didn't look very good, they could still kind of build him up.
You think they're going to build the Desmond Ridder after that?
They might, or I wouldn't be surprised if they take a quarterback because they know that Kirk Cousins is towards the end of his career, and they could just draft somebody too.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, that's like the number one, but number two, though, it's obviously it's Saquon going to the Eagles. Like that's a huge upgrade. I didn't expect that. I thought the Giants would do everything they could to keep Saquon around. Like since he was drafted in 2018, it's like Saquon's the guy. This guy's going to dispel any of this notion that we have around the value of running backs. You could still draft a bell cow in the first round and use a first round pick on a running back and still be successful. Obviously, it didn't pan out that way because they didn't find a quarterback, but it's crazy that he's ended up with the Eagles now. And when they're searching for a new center to take over for Jason Kelsey at some point, and really last year their run game was a huge part of why they weren't successful. Like DeAndre Swift just didn't work. So I mean, it's a fantastic move. How can you not want Saquon?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely an upgrade over DeAndre Swift, in my opinion. I think DeAndre Swift had a great season, but I think that Saquon gives them more versatility as far as a pass catcher and a in between the tackles runner. But I will say that I think this is kind of the end of the Bush or the tush push. I think that with Jason Kelsey gone, you're going to see them kind of get away from that because it's funny how that was documented how much Jason Kelsey hated doing that play. Like he actually, I think he told somebody he screams "fuck my life" every time he does that play. So it was taxing on his body, and I don't think they're gonna do that with Cam Jurgens, who's going to be the new center for the Eagles, rookie or the guy they drafted a year ago. They locked up Lane Johnson, and Landon Dickerson will be their right guard. So I think they'll be fine with their offensive line. But when it comes to Saquon Barkley, I mean, yeah, that Jesus, the Giants and Eagles hate each other, and he's a Pennsylvania guy, went to Penn State, and that's just going to add more fuel to the fire when it comes to that rivalry. So I thought that he may have gone to the Texans or the Chargers, the Ravens, and the Eagles were mentioned, but I didn't think he was actually going to pull that off. And yeah, he's public enemy number one now with the Giants, and I'm not surprised he didn't go back. I don't think that they really wanted to. I mean, they pretty much decided that they chose Daniel Jones over Saquon when it came to paying both of them last year. And I guess the rumor is that they're out on Daniel Jones. We'll see what moves they make, if they make any quarterback wise. But I think that also Brian Dable doesn't want to put that much money into the running back position. I don't think a lot of teams do. I think the Eagles are one of the few, like the Niners or the Ravens, that want to put money into the running back position. So I think it's a great move. I think the offense, he'll fit in right with them. They do need to get another running back though, because I don't know what the deal was with Rashad Penny. They never used him. I wouldn't be surprised, and I guess Boston Scott's not going to come back, or they have Kenneth Gainwell too, so they could use both those guys. There's always been rumors though that Derrick Henry is linked to the Eagles, but I guess the latest is that the Ravens really want him bad. I thought that with Tony Pollard going to the Titans today, that would be a landing spot for Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
That was interesting today. I was actually shocked how many running backs signed today because I did not think that they were going to have a good market. I thought that they were going to be. They must have known beforehand, and that's why this whole time period is funny to me. The legal tampering period with how quickly and instantly a lot of these guys signed. They've been talking for weeks, months even, and there's been stuff about Kirk Cousins going to the Falcons for a while now. Before I get to the running backs, but just real quick on Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
I think they view this as like a Jets move where they were just one piece away. They have all the other pieces. They have the running back. They have the tight end. They have the wide receiver. They kind of have the defense. They got to shore up a few things. I think that they believe that I don't know if they'll be a Super Bowl contender, but they will be probably the best team in the NFC South with Kirk Cousins at quarterback. And I kind of agree with that.
No, I do too. I don't think there's any disputing that. I mean, you're going to choose between Carr, Baker, or who's the other? I mean, think
Bryce
about
Young.
Bryce Young, the other NFC quarterback. Like you really
Well,
want
think about
them.
it. It's as Kolsky said. It's a lot of journeymen. It's a lot of
Right.
guys on their third or fourth teams.
Right. And that's probably why I wasn't looking at it the right way when I first started, because I'm looking straight to the playoffs. But the fact that the Falcons are even going to get there in the first place and potentially win their division, which they've rarely done, at least in the past couple of decades, or I guess past decade rather, is what you want to call it there. Actually,
Matt Ryan.
Since Matt Ryan left, but yeah. So I guess it's a good move from that perspective. But I also think Kirk Cousins is not that guy that's going to get you over the hump to get to a Super Bowl. Like, I don't think the NFC is any more dangerous than it was last year, at this point. Maybe depending on what happens with, say, teams like the Bears, maybe the Packers take a jump. Maybe the Lions are just that much better. Damn, everyone in the NFC North. All those teams that were in the NFC title games and the NFC playoffs, whatever, they probably improved, but ultimately I don't know. The Kirk Cousins signing, it's great, but doesn't excite me to the point where I'm going to think that the Falcons are like going to represent the NFC in Super Bowl 59.
No, probably not. But what about the Eagles today with Saquon? Do you think differently of them? Not only did they get that move with Saquon, but they signed Bryce Huff, who's actually a pretty good pass rusher. I think he had double-digit sacks with the Jets a year ago, kind of a third down guy. And they're trying to move Josh Sweat. They're trying to move Hassan Reddick. And I guess he'll be the go-to pass rusher on that team for now.
Yeah, but that team has quite a few problems. Seems they have an identity crisis right now. I don't know in terms of players, sure, it should make them a contender, but what's their culture like? Like,
Well, their two biggest leaders just retired. Jason Kelce and Fletcher Cox.
Yeah, and then you're seeing a lot of these younger guys, like, I don't know if the reports were true, but reports circulated that players didn't like Jalen Hurts having such a lack of emotion on the sideline was one report. They wanted him to be a little more into it. I think AJ Brown it kind of goes without saying what AJ Brown has done this season. He's obviously not happy with his role as a number one receiver and them going to Devonta Smith more than actually going to him. They kind of have they need to make a culture change, I think, going into next season before I can truly put them up there. Because Saquon absolutely makes them better, there's no doubt, but there was something deeper than what was going on the field, I think, last year.
Yeah, you're probably right. As far as the running backs, yeah, Tony Pollard signs with the Titans. Saquon went to the Eagles. DeAndre Swift to the Bears. This just happened moments ago. Zach Moss signed with the Bengals, and the corresponding move is to release Joe Mixon. Mm-hmm. So a lot of moves running back-wise. Austin Eckler signed with the Commanders. Anybody I'm missing on the top of my head, Steven, that went running back?
Josh Jacobs.
Oh, well, we'll get to Josh Jacobs. Devin Singletary went to the Giants. Gus Edwards went to the Chargers, which is interesting. So a lot of movement running back wise, But yeah, I was just kind of surprised because I thought that a lot of guys would not be happy with the market, but I guess it improved for them, or they just got a sense from their agents before, like they weren't surprised like they were a year ago when it came to the franchise tag. I think a lot of guys were told before free agency like this is what the market's going to be, and it's improved a little bit. I think Jonathan Taylor getting his contract helped everybody out, but I
Yep.
think that they got a sense of what they were going to make, so they were happy and they were able to continue forward. Um, Before we get to the Raiders and Niners moves, just last night, Russell Wilson signs with the Pittsburgh Steelers, which to me, like I said, like we said with Kolsky, it crosses the Steelers off the list for Justin Fields, and the list of teams for him is getting smaller and smaller. Um, but I think Raider fans collectively sighed when they saw the news that Russell Wilson was going to go to the Pittsburgh Steelers because you don't want to deal with that shit. And I don't think it was a good move for Russ to go to the Raiders because he would automatically get the starting job. I think it's a better move for him to be humbled and to have to beat out Kenny Pickett in a training camp, and then he could go forward. And I think that the Steelers culture will not allow him to think that he's better than the team or bigger than the team or do any of the corny shit that he does. He's going to have to buy into the Steelers culture. He's going to have to be one of the guys. Mike Tomlin's not going to make him feel special. And I think this is the perfect move for him, and I'm glad the Raiders avoided it.
Yeah, I am too. But I'm also glad the Raiders avoided it because I don't know how good he is anymore. I just don't.
Yeah.
You'd seen shades of it this season. There's no doubt about it. But you'd also seen shades of him looking like this new version of Russell Wilson, which I think we're still getting accustomed to. But then last year it turned into a whole thing between him and Sean Payton. And I think we kind of had an unconscious bias towards the way we viewed Russell Wilson because we just felt so bad for him with the situation that was going on in Denver, with what was going on with Sean Payton. So I think we were kind of, how should I put it? Grading him on a curve, so to speak. Like we weren't really looking. We stopped looking at Russell Wilson, the quarterback, and just started looking at the Broncos as a whole and thinking, "Ooh, there's something wrong here." I'm not convinced that I'm not convinced this is going to take the Steelers any further than where they've been the past couple of years, which is contending for the playoffs towards the end of the season and potentially getting there. I don't know. It's a good move for him. Just and Mike Tomlin and Arthur Smith is getting a fresh start too. And he's really, really good as an offensive coordinator. And it'll be interesting to see him dial up deep passes. I don't know what crazy stuff that Russ and George Pickens is going to do. Like that's the number one thing. If you can maximize the potential of George Pickens, which he to me, I mean, I know the effort wasn't there. And, I think he was even one of the, when he had jackass of the week at one point because he said something about not wanting to block for Jalen Ward.
Yeah.
But I think that if you can maximize his potential and the quarterback can do just that, then the Steelers are going to be fine. I don't know. I just don't know how Russell Wilson's going to do. Like I don't. It seems seems that people are on two very confident sides, or at least with a lot of conviction. They're saying that he's either going to be really, really good and you've all been underrating him, or he is going to stink because he's not good anymore. And I don't know which one that is.
I mean, I don't even know if he's going to beat out Kenny Pickett. We just got to wait to see what happens at training camp. But I'm glad that he's taken the approach of I got to change my. I'm in a different point in my career. Yep. I realize that now I'm not the guy that I thought I was, and I need to prove myself. And this is the team that's going to basically whip me into shape to prove to everybody that I can play in this league still.
Yep. The fact that the Broncos just totally miffed on this situation makes it a little sweeter. Not going to lie. Makes it a little easier to digest. The fact that this happened to the Broncos, we're calling this the worst trade of all time. And the Vikings pretty much gifted the Cowboys all their entire first-round draft class when they were winning those Super Bowls in the 90s because of the Herschel Walker trade.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? We're up to that point, calling it one of the – I heard you say that with the law, that it's – that you don't want to be hyperbolic, but it could go down as the worst trade in history. And it's just so funny that it happened with the Broncos.
Hands down it is because it's twofold stupid, because I believe they hired Nathaniel Hackett to get Aaron Rodgers. I truly believe that. And when that didn't happen, they swung for the fences to get Russell Wilson, and that just blew up in their face. But I do feel bad for Russell Wilson because I think that we've all mocked him for his personality, and while he is just cringy, that's whatever. That's who he is. So I think that he's moved past that. He's more quiet now. And let's just see him play. Let's see what happens.
What's he going to say now? What do you think is going to be his?
Well, I saw on here. Who had it here? Steelers Nation from Rockin' New Era. Steelers Nation, let's wield
Oh, let's weld.
or weld, yeah.
If I had a joke right now, I'd come at you with it, but I don't have one. That's pretty much as good as I could get. Steelers Nation, let's weld. Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
good
there's
one.
not really any good ones.
Yeah, come on, Steelers Nation, wave those terrible towels.
Yeah, let's wave the towels. I don't know. Stupid.
You're not getting better than Steelers welding. You're just not.
No,
Steelers Nation,
was
let's weld.
that was well done, Ernie. Too. We actually can't top that.
Well done.
Before, yeah, real quick here, other moves that were made. T. Higgins, no surprise here. He wants to get traded. He wants a deal. That could come into play with what happens with Brandon Ayuk. I'll get to that a little later. I wanted chaos. I wanted the Niners to trade for Mac Jones. I wanted that to happen because I just wanted to see what the fan reaction would have been if Kyle got the guy that he wanted all along, in my opinion, and traded for Mac Jones for a fifth round pick or a 6th round pick. I think it was a 6th round pick. We went to the Jaguars. Didn't happen. Goes to the Jags. He's backing up Trevor Lawrence. Would have been awesome.
They would have done that if Purdy wasn't as good as he is.
No, but don't you? I mean, okay. Well, they re-signed Brandon Allen, and I don't think Brandon Allen's going to be the backup.
They would have. They look. They would have gone in a totally different direction had Purdy not panned out the way that he has. Like they took just a huge swing. They didn't even swing for the fences. They just swung for the bunt. Yeah, we'll get this guy. Hopefully we can get a base hit out of this. And instead they hit a home run. Like every other team made a bunch of errors all over the field, and you got a little league home run out of it. That's what the 49ers got with Brock Purdy. They struck gold. If that didn't happen, they'd probably have to do something drastic. Who knows? But
you see AJ Cruz here is like, what? Why? What? Why would the Jaguars trade for him? They got Trevor Lawrence. I'm not saying that the Niners are going to get rid of Brock Purdy. Just would have been fun. You got another young quarterback that's on a rookie deal backing up Brock Purdy, and it's the guy that's always been rumored that Kyle always wanted. It would have been fun, all right? And I would love to see all of you panic. That's exactly why I wanted it.
Unfortunately, it's this podcast now. We are at the point where we just root for chaos. I don't know if it'd be the right move for the Bears to keep Fields and then draft Caleb Williams with the #1 overall pick, like Kulski was talking about last week. But with a new quarterbacks coach, and me being a huge reality drama fan, yeah, bring it on. You kidding me? Two guys fighting for the #1 spot. Fields versus Williams. Give me all the chaos. I would have been on that too. I would have liked Mac Jones traded to the Niners. Nice one.
See, there you go. What other reality do you watch besides The Bachelor?
No, that's it.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to all the Raiders moves today because there were good moves and interesting ones, I'll say. First off, the good one, Christian Wilkins. 4 years, $110 million, 84 of it guaranteed. He gets top defensive tackle money. Not the most, but he's in the conversation now. And you would have to believe that the Raiders may have been on Chris Jones too if they were making this move. But Chris Jones just way out of the price range and goes back to the Chiefs, which is unfortunate for Raiders fans and Niners fans. Because Chris Jones gets 5 years, $158 million, 31 per year, 60 of it guaranteed. He surpasses Aaron Donald. But as far as Christian Wilkins, really good player.
Yeah.
He's best buddies. If you watch Hard Knocks, he's best buddies with who's the guy on the Dolphins? Zach Kedler, I believe his name is. Have you watched any of the Hard Knocks from this year?
Not the in-season one.
He's if Steven, you love mic'd up stuff. I'm surprised you haven't seen a lot of this guy, or unless you have.
Oh, I've seen a lot of Christian.
Okay, this guy is going to be Raider fans going to like this guy because he's got personality. He loves to dance. And he had, I believe, 9 sacks last year, so he's a good pass rushing defensive tackle, something that the Raiders haven't had in quite some time. And pairing him up next to Max Crosby and Malcolm Kuntz or Trevon Wilson. God, it's been so long since he actually played it. Tyree Wilson. Good Lord. I think that this is going to help the defense. I think that the defense has already shown massive improvement from where it was in 2022, and I think that this guy is the perfect fit for the Raiders.
Look, man, if you can get to the quarterback, that's going to change the entire complexity of the game. And you put Christian Wilkins and Max Crosby on the defensive line, and then I don't know, you just hope Tyree Wilson pans out in year 2. I don't know what to expect because last year I went through that little phase where I was just sending you little videos of his get off of his jumps.
You're
And
quick to hate.
he was slow off the line, Derek. He was slow off the
I
line.
know he
multiple
was,
times.
but how did he finish? How did he finish?
He was fine.
And didn't we go through the whole list of drafted defensive players, and most of them didn't pan out?
Oh, yeah, you tried to reason with me, but again, what I showed you was video evidence, and you just showed me history. That's all you got was history. I gave you clips, man.
That's all we have, Steven. We have to live by our history.
Fine. Yeah. Oh, God damn it. What was the line in the movie we just watched? The Holdovers. Where he said,
"Oh, great movie." We'll talk about Oscar stuff later too.
Where he said, what did he say? Like,
if we don't remember our history, we're doomed to repeat it.
Where it's like, no, he said like history is the way that we know what's happening in the present or something like that. So he said something way more poetic than what I just gave you. But
all I know is that guy was bugging the shit out of me.
Anyway, which one do I stare at? Yeah, Christian Wilkins is a great pickup, man. I'm thrilled with this move, and I kind of look back on the 2019 draft when he was taken, I think 13th overall, and the Raiders took Cleve Ferrell, number 4. And later on in the season, you're like, damn, did the Raiders even, like, if you're going to go for one of the national championship teams, then fine, but did they even take the right defensive lineman from Clemson in this one? You know what I mean? Like, that's always the question.
Christian Wilkins,
yeah, Christian Wilkins and Cleve Ferrell, and he's coming off that Natty championship where he just did the splits. You've seen that, right?
Oh yeah,
during the trophy presentation.
Big man's nimble. Like,
yeah.
The early days of NFL Network, there used to be something called the Big Man Dance Challenge. Where they would get like offensive linemen or defensive linemen, and they get up there and dance. Christian Wilkins will win every year. This guy can move. He's got little twinkle toes.
Yes. He's like the Michael Flatley of defensive linemen.
I don't know who that is, but yeah.
Irish dancing guy. No, dude. What more can I say about it, though? I mean, I absolutely love the move. I think he brings a person out. Plus, he's young. He's 28. Yeah. And, at a time when pass rushing defensive tackles are, they're hard to come by. They're few and far between. I mean, you're not going to get an Aaron Donald in every single draft, but I'm not saying Christian Wilkins is either. But when you can get a guy that can get to the quarterback,
paid like him.
Yeah. But when you get a guy who can get to the quarterback and stop the run at the same time, like, that's what I had a couple of Dolphin fan friends text me. I got one that works at KCBS now. His name's Ken. Huge Dolphins fan. Huge Dolphins.
Did you Tommy Call?
I didn't actually. I should have texted Tommy Call.
We should. I should text Tommy, see what he likes about Christian Wilkins.
We should.
But yeah, dude, the Raiders, I mean, they need a guy that can help out Max Crosby. And Max Crosby could do it on his own, but I think the presence of him now lining up next to him is going to be good. And this is all just to get after Mahomes, which they need to.
Exactly. Well, it's not just Mahomes though. It's Justin Herbert. It's I don't know what's going on with the Broncos. I haven't looked at their quarterback situation much behind all the laughing that I've done in their trade.
Right now it's our guy Jarrett Stidham, and there's rumors that maybe they're in the Sam Darnold sweepstakes. They actually thought about Kirk Cousins, but they can't afford that right now.
Maybe take a chance on Lance.
I mean, the Vikings may have to.
Yeah.
That was a rumor too.
Bring Lance home. Yeah, that could happen. But if the 49ers if the Raiders are going to have this idea, this mindset that we're going to beat you by being physical and all this Raider way stuff that Antonio Pierce has talked about over the past summer, or this past winter rather, where he's telling these other guys, like, we're going to have other teams fear us. We are going to be the Raiders. You don't want to.
Are we in spring?
We are, but like this past winter, like when he's been doing stuff this whole off season, really talking on podcasts and stuff since the Super Bowl. But if you're going to have that type of style of play, then you better bolster that defense. And man, I don't know. Once I saw the Christian Wilkins thing, everything else was kind of ancillary. I'm like, all right, they filled a position of need. Sure, I'd like someone in the secondary, but God, how long has it been since we've seen like an elite defensive tackle? Tommy Kelly was great, but the fact that Tommy Kelly is like one of the best defensive tackles you've had in your history, your team's history, then that says something a little bit about the position.
No, but I loved him and Warren Sapp as when it was the terrible 2006 team where you can the 2-14 offense was putrid, but the defense was good. We Raiders had a playoff defense, but the offense was the worst in NFL history.
Yeah.
I love Tommy Kelly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
He's
don't,
great.
yeah, that's a good comparison, Steven, because I don't think the Raiders have had a guy like that. Maybe Richard Seymour,
Yeah.
maybe, but Richard Seymour was on the tail end of his career. This guy's in the prime. And yeah, match it up with Max Crosby, I think it's going to do wonders for the Raiders. The other move that was done today was just simply not signing back Josh Jacobs. And when I saw on the TV screen at the KMBR studios and just saw the graphic, Josh Jacobs signs with the Packers, I was like, what? That's random as hell. And I didn't expect that to happen. But then I guess the idea was to pair him up with Aaron Jones, and then Aaron Jones didn't want to redo his deal, so he's getting released. They're not signing back AJ Dillon, so Josh Jacobs is the guy in Green Bay, which is, I mean, good for them because I think that he was kind of out of place a year ago. He was catching passes a lot, and for whatever reason, he cut a lot of passes in Alabama, but he's not a pass catching running back in the NFL. He was in college. He's not that now. I think Josh Jacobs is a great running back, but is he like Christian McCaffrey? No. He is more, this is going to sound bad, but it's not, one dimensional in the fact that he is just he's a runner. And I think he's a very effective runner and one of the best in football. But I think as far as, a spread it out offense, he's not that guy. But I think he's the perfect guy for Green Bay who could throw the football. And when they need to run the football in the snow, they'll do it. So let's see what he went for 4 years, 48 million.
Yeah.
Not bad. I don't think the Raiders were going to pay that considering that they got Zamir White already. And they may look to other, there's a ton of guys available running back wise right now. So I think the Raiders could get a complimentary piece to Zamir White or maybe a veteran, who knows. But I think this was the best move for Josh Jacobs. He goes to a better team and a team that's going to utilize him to his capabilities, I believe. So I have no problems with this. I think that I wish Josh Jacobs the best, and I think that he's going to have a good career with the Packers.
Yeah, but I think the Raiders need to have a backup plan. Like, you remember you were talking about that with Derek Carr. Like, you were saying when they released him, like, if they don't have a backup plan, then what's the damn point of all this? Like, they better have a damn good one. And obviously, when they took Jimmy Garoppolo and had him fill in, yeah, that was the backup plan supposedly, which did not work out too well. But that's
Still
the same
in the
thing
roster,
with Josh.
by the way.
What's that?
Still in the roster, by the way.
Yeah.
Although he's due the money Wednesday, so I'd assume
he'll be released, right?
Tomorrow. I mean, they got to release him tomorrow.
Yeah. But before I even get to the trade or everything, like Josh Jacobs is just one of those players, man, who you could see it when he's giving everything that he has for the team, like total team player. I remember even thinking Josh McDaniels at one point seemed to be in sync with the locker room because I saw the way that him and Josh Jacobs interacted on the field once. Like, Jacobs was just the ultimate team player, and everything from the way that he was coming out of college from out of Alabama. Then you hear those stories about, like, I think he was homeless living in his car with his dad or something like that. And it's like, God, this is such an easy guy to root for. And he has one of the best rookie seasons that I think you can ever get from, or not ever get, but the Raiders have ever gotten from a running back. They never had a rookie running back start 13 games. They never had one rush for over 1,100 yards their rookie season. Like, Jacobs was an absolute beast, and he gave everything he had for the organization. I think that's all you can ask for, which is why I was kind of bothered by, like, the thing that he put on his Instagram story, which
I saw that.
Yeah, which he said, when a player leaves, it's always the player being unloyal. At what point do we ask the franchises for that same loyalty? And I think
that's fair.
It's fair, but I also think it was spurred on by, like, fans kind of going at him a little bit and saying, and basically saying, like, it was your time, blah, blah, blah. But I think they need to thank this dude because, would I have rather had him stay on? Yeah, of course. Like, it's Josh Jacobs. For that price tag, I don't know what they want to do. They probably should have given him that contract last year if they wanted to keep him long term. I think this year, if you're not willing to, especially if it's a 4-year deal, like, that was the main problem he had last year. It wasn't about the money; it was about the security and having guaranteed money and the amount of years you could stay guaranteed with the team and all that. So I don't know. I just thank him for everything that he's done. I don't know, just through and through been just an excellent football player. And I'll remember like him opening up a game against like the Packers and the Falcons back to back, where like some runs in the first possession, he was just trucking dudes over.
Yeah.
Like it was nothing. And and he had it working with John Gruden a little bit. And then I think just everything that's happened these past couple of years after his rookie deal, it's just been kind of awkward. That's what it's felt like reading the stuff. I don't know what it's like within the organization, but just like seeing the reports and kind of reading the tea leaves, it just felt awkward, like an awkward marriage.
Yeah, the same way it was with Saquon. I mean, both those guys were
Yeah.
kind of the poster boys for disrespect when it comes to running backs getting paid last year. They both were looking to get better deals, and they really didn't. They got franchise tagged, and then they got 1-year deals worth $12 million, and it was enough for them to be happy a year ago. But I'm not surprised both of them left. I think when they were both younger a year ago, and the teams that drafted them were like, "We're not willing to pay you," was when they were like, "All right, it's time to go."
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised, and I think they do have the backup plan. I think Zamir White is the backup plan. I mean, obviously, I think that he's the guy going forward. He had that 125-yard or whatever it was against the Chiefs. I think that they're going to ride with him.
I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like him. I don't like him automatically as the clear-cut number one guy. Like, I just
Okay.
don't like him stepping in and taking Josh Jacobs' place. I'm just not convinced. So I think that if they can, I don't know what Mixon would be going for, but if they could find a way to sign Mixon, I mean, I think he grew up a Raider fan, didn't he?
He might have, and I don't know if Marvin Lewis drafted him, but Marvin Lewis is with the Raiders now.
4 straight 1,000-yard seasons, and they just release him, and he's turning 28? I think he's 27 years old, turning 28.
Yeah.
Like,
The only thing I will say is Joe Mixon's passed, and the Raiders having no tolerance for that.
Right. For sure. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But I think they could get past that. I think Mark Davis wanted Gruden back.
I get that, Steven, but we're talking about something different where Mixon slapped a woman and it was caught on tape. And
Totally.
I think that many franchises try to hold themselves to a morality when it comes to that stuff. But the Raiders, with what happened, I don't know if people know the story with Fred Biletnikoff's daughter, people are very serious about that stuff in that organization. So
right.
I don't think they're fucking around.
Okay. Well, that would make sense, but they should sign him still.
Yeah. I mean, people do change, but yeah, that's
it's been 10 years.
Hard to ask. No, no, I mean, I get it.
And or either that or they got to draft someone. They got to draft someone like early. I'm talking, like the Blake Corums of the world. What's that dude from Texas's name who's like going to be going pretty high as a running back in the draft? I think there's a guy from Florida State too. There's a couple of guys that are going to be drafted this year. I mean, pretty highly, but I think the Raiders should go after one of them if they can in the second round.
No, that definitely could happen. I think Harbaugh's got his heart set on Blake Corum. If we'll see, it's a draft. You can't just pick whoever you want.
Yep.
So yeah, I think that Josh Jacobs with the Green Bay Packers is gonna be weird.
Totally.
But I think that I'm happy that he's the man there, because it would have been a weird thing if it was a change of pace thing between him and Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones gets cut, but it sounds like he's close to maybe signing with the Vikings or somebody. So we'll see about that. This is the one that's interesting. Gardner Minshew signs with the Raiders. Minshew mania.
Yeah. Forgot about that.
Jorts and all, baby. I think he's an interesting guy. He's definitely gonna fit the Vegas style. But here's my thing. That move happened maybe a few minutes after Vic Tafur came out with his report that the Raiders are kicking the tires on Justin Fields, and Diana Rossini kind of went along with that report as well. So, as we said earlier, the window, or I guess the number of teams that Justin Fields could go to, is closing. I think it's really at this point only the Raiders, the Vikings, and maybe the Seahawks, or maybe even the Eagles. A lot of people are talking about him as a backup, which is, I think, kind of unfair this early in his career, but that could be the case. So Gardner Minshew is basically, to me, going to be a stopgap quarterback, a holdover guy. He's not the future. He was great filling in for Anthony Richardson a year ago. I think a lot of that, though, I will temper Raider fans' expectations. I don't know what he's supposed to be because it's going to be weird. Like I can't imagine it's just going to be a competition between Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell. That doesn't sound good enough to me. I think they're going to draft somebody, and they may go with three quarterbacks. Who knows? The Raiders kept three quarterbacks a year ago. They had Brian Hoyer, Aiden O'Connell, and Jimmy Garoppolo. So they may do the same thing this year.
Yeah.
I would assume that they'll probably not trade for Fields and draft a quarterback. I think they still have the intentions of doing that. They just want a veteran presence there because you don't just want to have Aiden O'Connell be the backup. But yeah, I think that also Gardner Minshew had a very successful year because he played in Philadelphia with Shane Steichen and then went to the Colts with Shane Steichen. And we all remember the bad pass he threw on a 4th-and-1 to a running back that doesn't really catch passes. But at the end of the day, it wasn't a great ball that made them lose the game against the Texans for the AFC South Championship. So I like Gardner Minshew. I don't think he's the answer for the Raiders. I think it's kind of similar to like a little bit like Jimmy Garoppolo a year ago.
Yeah.
So good backup option, but I'm still holding out, hope that the Raiders go all in for the answer.
Yeah. If they don't, then what the hell are they doing?
Yeah.
Like, well, you're just going to have two backups battle it out for the starting spot, and that's who you're going to go with for the season? You can't do that. I mean, we talk about them wanting to get to the quarterback. That's the number one way they're going to beat teams. Yeah, but you also got to have a quarterback that can help you win games. It is Gardner Minshew really that guy? And you make a really good point with Shane Steichen and the Eagles, and then going to the Colts, and then just seeing that transition carry over. I think that. Look, I just think they served him primarily as a backup option because he's a good locker room guy, wants to win. Like, they absolutely need to make a move. And I'm not going to just come on the podcast a few weeks ago and say that I'm feeling okay with the idea of trading for Justin Fields. And if they can somehow just give up like a, I don't know, 3rd-round pick, if they need to give up just a 3rd-round pick for Fields, then I'm totally good with that. I think there's a lot of untapped potential there.
Okay, but are you cool with that in that being the answer? And that being they pick up the 5th-year option and that's the guy. Because if you do that, then you're basically saying we're not going to draft a QB. You can't have 4 QBs. That'd be ridiculous.
Right. It's tough. It's tough to answer, man. Like, yeah, I think I'd be okay with it. If you had to give me an answer, yeah, I'd be good with Fields. But I also want them to draft a quarterback. Like, if they can move up in the draft and somehow get one, then yeah, I'm all for it. But if they get Fields, I'm not going to be too mad at that either.
Yeah, considering what happened today with Jacoby Brissett going to the Patriots again, I would assume, and with Mac Jones getting traded, I would assume that the Patriots probably stay at 3 and draft Jaden Daniels or Drake May. And the Raiders are looking at the other 3 guys, really. Michael Penix, J.J. McCarthy, and Bo Nix. And if none of those guys really jump out at you, then I mean it kind of makes sense with Luke Getsy as the offensive coordinator. And I understand that they were not necessarily the best of friends in Chicago, but Luke knows Justin. So, but I just don't think that solves any problems. I don't think that elevates you. I don't think that, Justin Fields is competing with Patrick Mahomes on a pass-happy level. I think that they'll have to look hard in the draft. And who knows? Maybe this thing gets played out. I know that Ryan Poles said he really wanted to get a deal done with Justin before free agency, and technically it's still that time. But I don't know. I think that, like I said, I think that they may have to consider calling the Vikings and be like, do you really want to make a deal? Because this is, I mean, we rarely trade with somebody in your own division like this for a player that young with a lot of potential. Right. Something also tells me that Kevin O'Connell wouldn't love Justin Fields as his quarterback, but I can't see a lot of places right now that are an option for Justin Fields.
Yeah. And the Raiders could be one of them, or maybe the best case scenario. Because I agree. I think trading within the division, especially with that risk, when you feel like, yeah, but there is still something that Fields has
Yeah.
there. Again, I want them. Again, I'm on board with Kolsky, man. I want them to take both Caleb Williams at number 1 overall, and I want them to keep Justin Fields, and I want them to battle it out, and I want chaos on whatever street the Chicago Bears stadium is.
But
I was going to go Bonte Hill on you and pull off the stadium street name, but I didn't have that one at my disposal.
Hallis Way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You can't tell me that's happening, though. There's no chance in hell. This isn't like Jimmy coming back on a 1-year deal to be the backup to Trey Lance.
Maybe.
I think Caleb's ego's too much, and I think Justin would not enjoy it.
No, you know what? Maybe you know what the best case scenario could be though for the Raiders would be, well, not the best case, but maybe like the Matt Schaub and Derek Carr situation, where you have a veteran in there and Derek Carr's just a rookie. You don't want to announce him as the starter right away. You want him to earn that job, and he came in and earned it in that 4th week of the preseason, when it was 4 weeks at the time. 4th week of the preseason when he had that game against the Seahawks and then won the starting job outright. Maybe you need that from a rookie. Maybe you need Gardner Minshew to come in as the starter, maybe Aiden O'Connell as the number 3, and then just have your rookie quarterback try to work his way up into the system. I don't know. Maybe that'd be the best case scenario. Look, man, it's vital that they get themselves a quarterback. Like all these moves, everything we've been talking about, it's all great, but they do need a quarterback. That's like
Raiders?
number 1. Yeah, they need a quarterback.
I agree.
Somebody.
I agree. I do enjoy Gardner Minshew, which I love saying it that way for whatever reason.
Yeah,
but
I like Chris Berman's way of saying it on NFL primetime.
Well, he would do Gardner Minshew.
No,
actually that's Collinsworth. What am I doing?
He'd say Gardner Minshew.
That's true. That's true.
I like that.
So what else do you want to see though? What else do you want to see from the Raiders?
Oh God.
Do you want to see Hunter Renfrow traded?
Honestly, what? No.
Well,
I don't.
It may make sense. It may make sense at this point because they got Devontae and they got Jacoby Myers and they got, is it Trey Tucker?
Yeah.
Who kind of fits that role and kind of more explosive than Hunter. Yeah, just to get more draft compensation, it may not be a bad idea to trade Hunter Renfrow.
Yeah. No, Trey Tucker was awesome. And Jacoby Myers he kind of had himself like a Nelson Aguilar type season where everyone kind of wrote him off after his time in New England, then came back and did what he did last year, which was kind of be a safety blanket, really, for Aiden O'Connell. Like Jacoby Myers quietly had a really, really good season. But what I want to see them, maybe a trade for Renfrow would work, but I'm not thinking, trade Renfrow. That's the number one thing I want to see. I want to know how they're going to bolster their roster moving forward. What's happening with Patrick Queen?
I was fooled today, and so was Jeremy Fowler. Very good graphic. Very, very good graphic, well done by somebody, that showed the transition of Patrick Queen transitioning from the Ravens uniform to the Seahawks uniform, which I was like, that makes sense. Mike McDonald was his DC with the Ravens, so it's only natural he goes there and replaces Bobby Wagner. But that didn't happen today. Not yet. Patrick Queen could be a guy. Raiders might be even in the, might be in line to get maybe Bobby Wagner, who's, older, but still a good linebacker. I think they need another corner, though. And I think that Christian Wilkins could help out with maybe trying to recruit Xavier Howard, who I guess did Patrick Graham was Patrick Graham with the Dolphins before he went? Well, he was with the Giants. Hold on, I want to double check something real quick because a lot of Dolphin guys are linked to Patrick Graham. I just want to check if he actually coached the Dolphins at one point.
He did. He was D coordinator in 2019.
Okay, well there you go.
Yeah,
with Brian Flores.
Yes.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense then. So there you go. I think that Xavier Howard would be a good fit with the Raiders. Yeah, that's what I would do at this point. I think that besides the quarterback, which is the obvious thing, just get another corner. And I think that they signed Andre James back today, or just gave him a new contract. I don't know what else I would do. I think that the pass rush will be fine with Malcolm Kuntz and Max Crosby and now Christian Wilkins. Maybe a little improvement on the linebacking core. But yeah, I would get another corner and Xavier Howard. Yeah.
Yeah. I would it seems like we've seen a lot of at least this, I don't know, is this as common as it seems, but feels like we're seeing a lot of free agents sign with the division rival. Does that happen more often than it feels like it's happening a lot this year, whether it's whether it's Saquon going to Philadelphia or I don't know, I can't even think of another example right off the top of my head. But it feels like it's pretty common, right? Eh,
Not so much today.
eh.
The only one that's gonna ignite a fan base is Saquon. That's fucking huge. When those two teams play each other now, it's gonna get ugly.
Oh, look at this.
I know.
Ernie.
Yep. And
Wow.
great transition into Niners. We'll talk about all their moves today, but breaking news right now, the Niners are going to release Eric Armstead, so they're thin at the defensive tackle position. I think the only one on their roster right now is Javon Hargrave and Kalen Davis, and they won't have Javon Kinlaw back. Javon Kinlaw is going to the Jets, which makes a ton of sense because Robert Saleh was the defensive coordinator for the Niners, and now he's there with the Jets, obviously. And I always thought that maybe with the addition of Javon Hargrave, that they were going to trade Javon Kinlaw at some point, maybe to the Jets because they don't have great depth to defensive tackle wise. But now they do, and I think it's a good move for him. And he never really could find a place with the 49ers. He was expected to fill the shoes of DeForest Buckner. I think it's ironic that DeForest Buckner was the guy with the Niners. He was fucking incredible.
Yeah.
And the Niners chose Eric Armstead over him, and now they're releasing him. And now, they drafted Javon Kinlaw to fill that spot, and he didn't fill that spot. So now they're moving on. They got to find the next defensive tackle to fill the holes there in that defense. But yeah, no, I think Javon Kinlaw will actually fit in well with the Jets.
What a character. What a character he was.
Great body.
The squirrel in the mouth. You remember that video?
With Grant?
No, with Javon Kinlaw.
No, I don't. I don't think I've ever seen it.
You haven't seen the one where he's carrying a squirrel in his mouth?
No.
You haven't seen that?
No.
Oh my God. He posted it to
He's
Instagram.
carrying a squirrel in his mouth.
Yes. Yeah, he was asked about it during Super Bowl media week or whatever. It was
So
media day.
Did the squirrel have nuts?
Hang on.
Because the follow-up is so he had nuts in his mouth.
Yeah, okay. All right, hang on. Look at this. I just Javon Kinlaw squirrel on YouTube, and yeah, you could see the top. Well, the top video is Grant, but the other top video, you see that? I'm not even gonna play it because it looks like that's from like a radio station talking about it. But that's a video of a squirrel.
Can you go full screen?
Hang on. Is that
He's carrying a squirrel in his mouth?
Yes. Oh no, I have to go through an ad. Wait. Oh, this is perfect.
Javon Kim.
Okay,
Hang on. Bring this video.
Hang on.
This is Deuce Mason.
Who's that?
Used to work at 95.7 The Game.
Really?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
yeah, we
I
get
think
it.
I remember.
He's
he's anyway.
He's got a squirrel in his mouth. Okay.
Yes. He had a squirrel.
Weird
Character.
I prefer when he told Grant, your balls shriveled up when I came in the room. Not gonna have any more of those encounters.
Yeah, as he was eating sunflower seeds, dude.
Yeah.
Nah, man, it just didn't work out. But I think the writing was on the wall with this one. I didn't think they were going to sign him long term. Hurt by a lot of injuries, man. Literally, plagued by injuries. That's kind of what has almost defined his career with the Niners. Like he's shown flashes, but there's other times where he just doesn't. But my God, he was a specimen. Like the one time I went to training camp, he stood out more than like almost anyone. Like Nick Bosa's Nick Bosa. Like that guy's just a, chiseled out of granite. But Javon Kinlaw was just a massive human being, like huge.
And yeah, just if you've seen the pictures of him shirtless, that's more impressive than the squirrel in his mouth. Maybe.
Disagree.
But yeah, so the Niners now are pretty thin. I'd say really thin, actually, defensive tackle wise. Because they are going to release Eric Armstead. As of now, They asked him to come down on his 17.4 million that he's due this season, and it sounds like they want him to take a significant pay cut, which I completely understand because he hasn't been healthy for quite some time. I think he's played a total of 21 games in 2 years, and the defense did fine without him for the majority of the season. So, not the majority, but a good deal of time. He came back in the playoffs and did well. Got that fumble recovery against the Lions and the sack against Mahomes in the Super Bowl. But if we're being honest, I thought the Niners made the wrong move back in 2020. I thought that giving him the contract and letting DeForest Buckner go was the wrong move. I thought they should have paid Buckner and they should have let Armstead go. And they got by. They've had a great defense, and I think he's been the longest tenured Niner since 2015. And everybody loves him. He's got the belly rub when he gets the sacks, but I don't think Eric Armstead ever, if he was trying, I mean, like, did he ever live up to the contract that he got in 2020? No. I don't think he was ever going to be that type of player like DeForest Buckner is. So I would expect him to maybe join D'Amico Ryans in Houston. And I think he's going to get a good contract. I think it's time. And honestly, we were talking about, Mike Silver's article where he was talking about a player with production that was going to end up getting cut. And I think it makes sense that Eric Armstead is that guy.
Yeah, we brought it up. He only had one 10-sack season, and that was in 2019. No doubt. But look, man, it's everyone always goes back on that Buckner trade, but either way, the 49ers still made it to the NFC Championship, whatever it was, 3 out of the 5 years, 4 out of the 5, whatever it was, 3 out of the 5 years. Like that's an accomplishment in itself. Like you can't, I don't know if you can look at that trade, and of course you can be mad at it, but my God, you've been so far, you've been so deep in the playoffs. I don't even think about that move when I'm in the season, because anytime I see Eric Armstead on the field, he hasn't put up the numbers, but the dude is getting double teams. He's grabbing attention. He's just, sometimes he's taking double teams when the other team's running the ball, and then he just leaves it open for like a defensive tackle to make the play. Like, I think Eric Armstead's been very good, but I also think it was time. It was time, and they found it the right move. And I'd be surprised, though, if the 49ers don't have some sort of, as we talked about, backup plan here. I don't, like, are they going to use this bevy of compensatory draft picks that they have here and maybe trade it for a defensive tackle, get someone else along that defensive line? Are they going to make any other moves, whether it be like guys with the Chargers or something like that, a couple of edge rushers?
Well, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's just, I think John Lynch and Shanahan, more than just like shedding salary, I do think they're very calculated in the moves that they want to do. And I think this is more than just a salary dump. I think something's coming. I don't know anything, but I have a feeling something's coming.
So you think something's coming despite the fact that they signed Leonard Floyd today for 2 years,
Right,
$20 million.
Yeah, that happened when I was asleep.
Okay. I mean, yeah, Leonard Floyd's a solid pass rusher, and he knows Brandon Staley. He worked with him with the Bears and the Rams. No, it's a solid one, but I think also this is where people are like, is this the answer? Is this the guy that's going to replace Chase Young and make us not want to sign Chase Young back? Because Leonard Floyd's good, but he's also a rotational pass rusher at this point. They used him like that with Buffalo, and they kind of used him like that with the Rams a little bit, where he was paired up with Von Miller, but he would come in and out. I think that, I don't know. And they also signed another pass rusher, Yatir Gross Matos, who you might know directed Poor Things. But anyway, so it's a little Oscar joke for you, all of you. You like that one? I was thinking about that one for a while.
It's so stupid.
But yeah, they signed 2 pass rushers today. Yatir
Stop it.
Gross Matos, who was with the Panthers, now comes over to the Niners. So they may just have rotational guys. And Mike Silver had a thread last night where he was like, I think the Niners are going to make a move for a pass rusher. And another guy he threw out there, I think that they're waiting on this. I think the Broncos are going to release DJ Jones, and that's the guy they want at defensive tackle. But Mike Silver did throw out Danielle Hunter, and he actually did throw out Leonard Floyd's name. Daniil Hunter is not going back to the Vikings after the Vikings signed Jonathan Grenard today. And you have to assume that with everything that he's accomplished in his career, Daniil Hunter's going to get a big ass contract. So, um, I think that I'm not sure if they're going to make a move for another guy because I read what Silver wrote or tweeted, and something's going to happen with Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack. It definitely is. I don't think either of those guys are actually going to play for the Chargers this year. I think that the Chargers still got to make significant moves to get under the cap by Wednesday. And also, though, both those guys are due money by Friday. So if they stay on the roster, the Chargers are paying them for this season. I definitely don't think Khalil Mack is staying on the Chargers. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he gets traded to the Eagles, knowing Vic Fangio's relationship with him with the Bears. And then Joey Bosa, I don't think he's going to get flat out released because I don't think the Chargers want to just let him go like that. But there's the talk of the Niners. And a lot of people have linked this together because obviously Nick Bosa, Joey Bosa, their mom tweeted about it today or whatever form of social media where she was like, I would love it if my boys play together. I don't know if that's going to happen. I think maybe Leonard Floyd kind of means that they're not going to go do anything else defensive end wise. And I hope that's the case because I will lose my fucking mind if Khalil Mack is traded to the Niners. I can't deal with that. No. For everything that went down with the Raiders and him getting traded away, if he goes to the Niners and Khalil Mack is back, baby. Return of the Mack. I can't deal with it.
It's been 6 years, dude. Get over it.
I'm not gonna get over it. I would lose it if Khalil Mack went to the Niners. I can't have it.
Why?
Because I can't have him back in the Bay Area, and with the Raiders gone here, it would just piss me off that he's back in the Bay Area and he's more in with the faithful and the Niners culture, and he should have been that way with the Raiders. No, I don't want it.
Considering how badly you don't want it makes me want it even more.
See, why can't you just be a friend? Wouldn't that piss you off too?
No, it'd just be funny watching you pissed off the entire year.
But Steven, but you were there with me that night that Khalil Mack got traded. We were all hanging out, and we were devastated.
I wasn't there. Wait, we were at a bar the night before.
Yeah, the night before, and then he texted me when I was hungover. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. And it happened in the morning.
Okay, but do you really want to see Khalil Mack come back here?
Sure. Dude, if I get to cover Khalil Mack, then hell yeah.
Okay, but it doesn't bother you at all that...
No.
Okay.
No. What would bother me if they traded for Max Crosby or something crazy like that? That would bother me. But Khalil Mack, no. Like, I'm not bothered by that. I'm over it, dude. I'm over that. Like, we're in a new era now. The trade happened. Move on.
Never.
And if Mack can be happy, and I want Khalil Mack to be happy, he had a series of Snapchat stories that still live on to this day. He doesn't post them. I don't really go on Snapchat anymore, but he used to just post these videos of his friends, and he would just he would just caption it by saying "lost," and then he'd just be laughing at him the whole time and making fun of his friends. I don't know what it was about, but it made me laugh. I just want him to be happy, Derek. And if the 40, if going to the 49ers makes it
$20 million this year, he's gonna be happy wherever he goes.
So just because of you're going to be mad about it, even though he's doing what's best for him. You can't be happy for him because the Niners would be a great move for him.
No, I'm going to be selfish. Send him to the Eagles. Send him to the Lions. I don't want him on. I don't want him on the Niners.
That'd be a good place on the Lions.
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
They sent Marcus Davenport today, but him and Aiden Hutchinson, your lookalike, that would be pretty sweet.
Oh man, then I could see what it'd be like. Me and Khalil
best of friends
on the opposite sides of the D line. Hell yeah, dude!
Instead of just Joey Bosa being like, "Hey, Khalil, you ever listen to that song, Return of the Mack? Were you named after that song? Huh?
Is that did you just say Joey or Nick?
No, Nick, I said.
Well, the thing is, if they get Joey though,
Hey,
like,
Khalil, do you know? Have you met my friend Donald Trump?
do you think Joey Burrow actually looked happy to be there?
I don't know. I honestly,
Didn't seem
I
like it.
mean, politics, and all. I think just guys are showing up for a UFC fight, and he just happens to be there, and it is what it is.
No, I mean Nick Bosa was thrilled. He was thrilled about, which is
Well,
fine.
yeah,
You could
yeah.
be, you could be, you could. It's fine. You could be thrilled about beating him. It's just Joe Burrow kind of seemed like he was, I don't know, just like, yeah, I'll throw up my hand because you're that guy, but whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, with Joey Bosa though, he has what, 3 full seasons under his belt in his 9-year career, going into his 10th season. Obviously, the way that it ended with that game against the Jaguars a couple of years ago, and him throwing his helmet on the sideline because he was just so pissed off at the refs. And there's also been with the Chargers. I'm this is not from me. These are from Chargers people I talked to, aka the one guy we know, Evan. There's times where Bosa would take plays off.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, the number one thing that 49er fans did not accept about Chase Young. They were thrilled with the talent, but then you see him take plays off, like with that run for the Lions, where I think it was Jahmyr Gibbs who just ran in easy in the first half for a touchdown. And I'd throw caution to the wind there, if that's the right way to use that phrase. Is that the right way to use it?
When it comes to for Niner fans with Joey Bosa
Yeah.
or Khalil Mack, I mean, I
Not
think
Khalil Mack. Khalil Mack, fine, but like Joey Bosa.
Well, no, caution to the wind would be like not worrying about it.
Oh yeah, well then never mind. I used that wrong.
So, but I do think that I do think they're done though. At defensive end, maybe I'm wrong, but from what we heard today, like Matt Mayoka came on with us and he was like, I'd be surprised if they went after another big name at this point.
Yeah,
and they may sign back Chase Young. Who knows? Because production wise, he didn't get a ton of sacks.
Well, they don't need to sign a big name though. Like John Lynch and Shanahan are always repeating themselves when they're up at the podium. And the one thing that they've said a lot through free agency is that you can never have too many pass rushers. Yeah. And so they might just go for these little 1-year deals where they're playing for just above the veteran minimum, and they maybe feel like they could build something out of that and kind of be the reclamation project for some defensive linemen, because that's what they have been for quite a few of these guys. Like the reason they want DJ Jones back is because, well, they took DJ Jones, I think, in the draft, and then they turned him into a really solid defensive tackle. And it was okay in Denver. I remember thinking like Denver's, he was fine in Denver, but like those are the types of guys like they could just kind of turn with Chris Kasarik. They could turn these lower tier defensive linemen and maybe have them playing above what they could be playing with another team.
Yeah. No, I mean, they do want the defensive line depth, and they do greatly need to address the defensive tackle position, especially with the way the run defense was playing down the stretch. But, yeah, I don't know. Maybe they will. Danielle Hunter's going to be expensive. I think he's going to get huge money. So I think they may be out on him. But as far as Khalil Mack or Joey Bosa, I don't see either of those guys staying on the Chargers at this point. I think it's just they got to shed salary. I think they're going to try to trade both. Yeah, I don't know. I wonder how they're going to use Leonard Floyd, if he's really going to be a starting defensive end, or is he kind of like Randy Gregory? That's how I kind of see him at this point.
I think if Danielle Hunter comes to the 49ers, then that would
oh God, they're not
that would be
money to give.
Well, that would be in violation of the NFL's policy, which is you're not allowed to have more than one defensive lineman who has arms chiseled like that.
Yeah.
You see his arms?
Yeah, I know. I've seen him shirtless too.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Some unbelievable stuff.
All right. Any other free agency stuff you want to get to?
Oh man.
Well, real quick.
Why?
Just the T. Higgins trade demand. It's kind of similar to what possibly could happen with the Niners, in the sense that it's different. Joe Burrow got paid, but the Bengals are prioritizing Jamar Chase over T. Higgins. They're basically telling him, we like you to play this season for us, but we're not giving you the contract that you want. And so they may have to trade him, which could be the case with the 49ers and Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. I don't think they're going to trade Brandon Ayuk, but if it comes to the point where he's like, I want to make more money than Deebo, or and Deebo's like, well, he can't make more money than me, or eventually they're going to have to pay Purdy, but it's not happened this offseason. So I don't know. I do not know if they're going to be able to do all this. Like if they signed Danielle Hunter, I mean, they're definitely not getting Brandon Ayuk. Or I don't know. I don't know how they're prioritizing things, or maybe I'm just not fully aware of how John Lynch can manipulate the cap.
I didn't miss anything, and this is going to go a little off topic, I guess, but I'm sticking with the 49ers. I didn't miss anything with Juszczyk, did I?
Not yet.
Okay, because he was negotiating because according to Michael Silver, he said that they were negotiating the same thing that they were doing with Armstead, trying to get a pay cut. But but I'm sure that when he says that they're negotiating, I'm sure what he means by that is, well, Kyle Juszczyk's agent is actually calling around other teams and seeing what they'd be willing to give a fullback who's in his 30s. Yeah. He's probably looking at what the market is and testing that out right now, just getting a feel for it. And then if he really wants to take that pay cut and stick with the 49ers, or maybe he goes to another team, because I think Juszczyk can help any team right now. He's still playing at an extremely high level. I mean, he was just voted to his first All-Pro team this year as a first teamer.
He's been voted before first pro.
Not first team All-Pro. No, he's just
been. What other fullbacks are getting it over him?
I don't know.
Patrick Ricard?
I don't know.
Alec Ingold?
I think Alec
CJ Ham?
Didn't he get in there?
I'm pretty sure he's got a first team All-Pro before.
John Kuhn?
Oh, that's my guy from back in the day.
I'm looking it up. He's only got one first team All-Pro selection. Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yeah.
From this year?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. I would have figured he'd always get it because he's the fullback I think of automatically. That's the thing. So when Matt Mayoko came on with us today, he basically said that they're negotiating something where they want him to take a pay cut. And it sounds similar to Eric Armstead, where he's not making a ton of money. Kyle Juszczyk's making, I think, $5 million the next 2 years, or each year.
Mm-hmm.
But this is going to be hard to say because I know Kyle Juszczyk is the best fullback of football. But can they get by without having him? Because I know that offense is very run heavy and predicated on him being more than just a fullback. But fullbacks are not commodity. I mean, like they're not used as highly as they were back in the day. So could they get by with drafting a fullback or getting a undrafted fullback?
Well, if they do, then they're going to have to get one who is football savvy, because Kyle Juszczyk was the motion man on a lot of plays. Like go back and watch any of their games from last year and just watch how much Kyle Juszczyk motions pre-snap. Yeah, that's how you should spend your spring. Don't go outside. Look up Kyle Juszczyk.
Relay cement.
Look up. Well, that will build character. This one that I'm talking about will just have you knowing about the motion tendencies for Kyle Juszczyk with the Niners. But go back and just see how much they use him under those circumstances. It's not just, we're going to line up in the I formation. I'm basically going to be a halfback and I have the threat to run it or whatever. They're not running like a wishbone offense. No, they're doing a lot of different things with him, and he has to do a ton, I think, pre-snap for that offense, which makes it easier on Brock Purdy and ultimately makes it easier on Kyle Shanahan and allows him to do that thing where he throws out the same personnel, but throws out a ton of different plays using that same personnel, which has the defense completely fooled. Like Juszczyk allows them to do that. So,
yeah, I mean, and he's integral to what they do. So I think that it would be very difficult to say goodbye to him, but also at the same time, he's a fullback. So maybe they can do that, but I think he'd be more inclined to take less money. They're making pretty good money with his wife making, jackets for everybody.
Totally. But and I mean, but you also got to think like Eric Armstead didn't think that way. Eric Armstead, who's been a fan favorite, like he didn't think, I want to take a pay cut and I want to take less money to stay here. Like, I think there's an emotional toll that the Super Bowl took on a lot of those players that were still around there from 2019. Like, have you heard Debo talk about the Super Bowl? Like, I think
Yeah.
I think it was a lot on those guys losing that game again.
It was, and the way that Debo talks about it was like, there's always next year, and he's like, oh, I waited 4 years to get back here, and I lost again. I
Right.
think a lot of guys. We'll talk about it as we get more closer to the season, but this may be very hard for them to overcome. How
Yeah.
close they were, and to lose like that again. Yeah. Real quick here, a little breaking news. Tyrod Taylor going to be backing up Aaron Rodgers now with the Jets.
You mean so he's going to be the starting quarterback by week 5? You think?
You think so? He's going to tear his Achilles again?
No, I don't know.
I would have thought they would have gone for like, what's another interesting quarterback situation?
Huh?
I think Sam Howell is going to back up whoever the Commanders drafted number 2.
Yeah, I think he's going to be. I think they're going to compete for the job, but ultimately he's going to become the backup. Yeah.
I wonder if they would move on from him.
Hmm.
Because it's different offense. Cliff Kingsbury's offense. We'll see. That could be another guy.
So this is what we got going on for free agency. You're looking forward to whether Sam Howell is going to be a backup.
Yeah, that's my Dalvin Cook and DeAndre Hopkins of this year.
Yeah, get to cement lane quick, man. That's gonna. Ooh.
Or it could just be Dalvin Cook and DeAndre Hopkins again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you should definitely take up the scuba diving, not the cement lane. Scuba diving.
Fine. All right. Enough free agency for tonight. We'll be back on Wednesday to talk about more of it. Oscars. What'd you think?
Yeah, the fun ceremony. I don't know. Jimmy Kimmel as a host is kind of old at this point to me. He's fine, but it's just the same thing year after year. And I don't know. Maybe we put too much on the host, but I kind of want something fresh. We've been getting Jimmy Kimmel every year for however long it's been.
Because it's easy and safe, and he's on ABC.
Yeah, and I'd rather see Guillermo host the Oscars, to be honest, than Jimmy Kimmel. Although I got to give him credit. That little jab at Trump that he gave was pretty great in real time.
Yeah, but I mean, he always does that.
What?
I mean, I get it. Like, I get it, but also like that every time he hosts the Oscars, there's no let's address what Trump tweeted out about me. Like sometimes I'm just like, all right, forget it. We got to deal with that guy so much this fucking year. I don't want to deal with it right now.
Well, Gabby, you're going to probably deal with it for 4 more years, and it happened in real time.
What are you saying?
I don't know. Don't take my word for it. There's a reason why we were doing.
Don't get me worried, Steven. I'm already not wanting to watch the Civil War movie because I think we're all fucked up right now.
What was it? What was it? It was what Monty Poole said about Steph Curry and his ankle injury. The way that he sold Warrior fans, brace for the worst, hope for the best. And that's what I'm doing through the presidency right now.
Don't even want to go there.
But anyway, I thought it was good. And then overall, it was a good show. And then John Cena doing his little costume design gag where he straight up showed up naked, which I thought was pretty good.
Do you actually think he was?
I mean, he had covering on it, but didn't you see like any video or anything like that?
Well, we didn't see the back of him.
Yeah, he had covering on, so he wasn't fully naked. No.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
I thought it was funny. John Mulaney coming out, and I forgot what he was introducing, but doing a whole monologue on the Field of Dreams and an entire recap cracked me up.
That was funny. John Mulaney's funny. That was just like, goes through the whole plot of Field of Dreams at the very end. He's like, that should win Best Picture. But of course, they're going to go something that happened this year.
Yeah. So he was great. Yeah. From Ernie to Michael Keaton will always be my number 1 Batman. Yeah. When Danny
that was
DeVito,
awkward.
Arnold Schwarzenegger. What?
That was awkward.
What are you talking about?
I mean, okay, it turned into a Batman joke, but real Batman fans know that Arnold Schwarzenegger, what the hell are you talking about? You didn't fight Michael Keaton. You fought George Clooney.
Yeah.
So what? You son of a bitch! Like you didn't fucking fight him.
He's still Batman. He's still Batman. Doesn't matter which Batman. It doesn't matter if it was, if it would have been Val Kilmer up there or anyone.
Val Kilmer ain't going to the Oscars now.
No, he is not. But
I didn't even think about his voice.
One Batman. One Batman, Derek. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which character. If it was Christian Bale, Arnold Schwarzenegger still go after him.
All right. I thought the whole thing was just kind of Danny was feeling himself. Danny was having a better time than. Well, actually, I can't say if he was having a better time. I think he was just more on script and going with the flow of things better than whatever the hell Al Pacino was doing. Good God.
I don't mean to be an ageist here.
But you're saying him and Robert De Niro shouldn't procreate anymore.
Well, I'm saying that in that joke where Jimmy Kimmel made about the Al Pacino and I don't know, made a joke about like one of his kids or something like that when he introduced him. That was good. But can we just not have someone that is over 80 reading the Best Picture stuff? Like it kind of spoke to the whole format. I didn't like the format really. I didn't like the whole Best Actors and Best Actress and the way that they brought out like the former winners and had them explain. Like I just honestly, give me the name, give me the clip, and just show the person on camera clapping for themselves. Like I don't need a whole, this whole grandstanding where they're just like up there giving this speech that they definitely didn't write and then just telling them about the nominees. Like, no, I just want to know what the nominee did, what they did in the movie, and then just keep it moving.
Yeah, I do remember them doing this years ago. It was when Robert De Niro was nominated for Tropic Thunder, actually, Best Supporting Actor. And it was funny because I remember Cuba Gooding Jr. doing his thing for Robert Downey Jr. being nominated. He was just like, man, did a good job, Robert. Trying to take my job? And it was funny. But it was weird last night because it was supposed to be like, or I guess like the first couple of presenters was supposed to be like, you're my friend and I know you intimately, so I'm going to, say what I love about you as being a friend, but also as a professional and what you do in your craft as an actor. But after a while, it kind of felt like, yeah, Sterling K. Brown, good job in the movie. I don't know you personally, but hey.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Jessie was like, she wasn't mad, but when Jennifer Lawrence is standing up there and Jessie's like, oh, that's Emma Stone's best. That's her BF. She needs to be the one that's giving the speech, and she didn't. Like,
It was Sally Field.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of felt weird where just like random actors being like, you did a great job in this movie that I did not see.
Can we please play the Al Pacino thing?
Yes, because yes, play the Al Pacino and then I'll go ahead.
Only one will take the award for Best Picture. And I have to go to the envelope for that. And I will. Here it comes. And may I see Oppenheimer? Yes. Yes, Emma Thomas, Charles Grodin.
That's the best part is when the music's playing. He's like, "What happened?
Hang on.
Hey, what happened here?
Thomas, Charles Grodin.
Ooh, trying to give out an award.
What? I think that echoes what everyone was thinking as they were watching that. What happened here? Zone of interest, the holdovers.
My eyes deceive me. I've got Oppenheimer. Ooh, hell of a picture. Here's my thing. Ever since Warden Beatty fucked up, well, it wasn't his fault, but it was, who was he with? I forget. He was with like a very famous actress.
Yeah.
But it was La La Land that was red, and it was supposed to be Moonlight. I think for whatever reason, the Academy decides to have Best Picture presented by some really, really old actor. In the last few years, like remember Harrison Ford last year when what was it? Everything Everywhere All at Once won, and he saw Short Round for the first time in a while. He's like, "Oh, I forgot about you." And
he didn't forget about him.
I know, but that was a joke where he was just like, "Who the hell are you again?" But it just seems to me like they're setting themselves up for failure. Yes, Faye Dunaway. Thank you, AJ Cruz. They're setting themselves up for failure to having these older actors present these awards where they can have another viral moment like that. But I think Pacino did that because Pacino is just a goofy bastard. But I think also maybe someone behind the stage was like, "Okay, so Mr. Pacino, this is what you do. You read the." He was like, "I know what I'm fucking doing, okay." And then he was just being, and a smart ass of being like, "My eyes tell me it's Oppenheimer."
Jodie Foster's got a great ass. Not like when he was reading that, man. When he was doing that, my mind unfortunately went in the direction of his baby mama having a child, and just him as she's giving birth. He's like,
Goo goo
"Oh,
gaga.
there it is. Take a peek. What's happening here? I see a head. Oh, what's happening?"
Oh, this is a big baby. Baby's getting a little fat here.
That's all I could picture, man.
Yeah, I can't imagine 80-year-old Al Pacino. Oh, first day of school. Hopefully, no one recognizes me.
It's such an exaggerated version.
Ooh, look at all the images. Peter's gonna find himself another baby mama. So, yeah, it was the goofiest I've seen Pacino be since. Everybody wants my Dunkachino. Can't get enough of my Dunkachino.
Is that a Dunkin' Donuts commercial? The one that you posted the GIF of?
I wish it was an actual commercial. No, that's from Jack and Jill. Probably the only funny part of that movie.
I haven't seen Jack and Jill at all. Like,
I haven't seen it either, but my little brother told me there's a whole thing of Al Pacino doing a cameo where he's trying to get with Jill, Adam Sandler, and the whole thing is he's trying to get him to do a Dunkin' Donuts commercial, and at the end of the movie he does a Dunkachino, where he changes his name from Al Pacino to Dunkachino.
The thing is, the problem is there was a lot of there's a lot of opportunity for Arnold Schwarzenegger to be the one handing out the Best Picture, because him naming the nominees would have been sensational. You see the nominees; they're perfect in an Arnold voice. As soon as he was doing his thing with Danny DeVito, I thought, man, can you imagine if he was reading off Best Pictures? Oppenheimer, Bobby, The Holdovers, Poor Things, Killers of the Flower Moon. You know that? I think it would have been perfect.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good because I always think of him years ago when he was giving out. He was he was doing the thing like when they read the nominees for Best Picture, and he was like, "I want to acknowledge a great movie made by my friend James Cameron, Abada." What was that? Abada. You mean Avatar? Yes.
When was that?
Oh, dude, when he presented the award or when he was presenting the nominee for Avatar, he kept saying Abada.
Oh my God, that was the same year with the Hood Locker.
Yes,
wasn't it?
Yes.
Been perfect.
Yeah, and I didn't have a problem with the awards. I thought everybody that should have won. Oppenheimer, yeah. Amongst those for Best Picture, yeah, I agree.
I don't know what movie should win anymore. Like, I don't know what's an Oscar-winning movie. You know what I mean? I have the ones that I enjoy, and I don't know. They all were very unique in their own way, but I guess like Oppenheimer was the one that I enjoyed the most. But like, loved American Fiction. Poor Things, though very strange.
Haven't seen American Fiction yet.
It's good, though. Poor Things is very strange, and 25% of it is just awkward sex scenes.
I watched it. I watched it the other night after you and Kolsky were talking about it.
Yeah, how'd you?
I think it's very good. It's very weird. It's very weird, but I liked it. And honestly, for the most part, I was laughing my ass off, especially at the performance of Mark Ruffalo. Yeah, I thought he was goofy as hell, and he was hilarious.
Yeah, he was outstanding.
Yes,
he was outstanding.
Emma Stone was very good too. But no, very, very fucking weird movie. But I kind of like weird shit.
Yeah, the only one I didn't like was, or the only one I really couldn't get through that I tried watching was Maestro. I couldn't.
I thought about putting that on, but I have no desire.
I did not get where it was going. Jesse and I had stopped it with like 50 minutes left to go. Like, it's just, it seems cool, but like I don't know what the point of it was. There's kind of this the storytelling was to me was just kind of like out of sync. I also wanted to go to sleep. Yes, I did, but it was not
That's
that
fair.
good.
I did enjoy the holdovers, which apparently I guess has a ton of controversy when it comes to who wrote it or plagiarism or whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
But yeah, I thought Holdovers not the most original movie of all time. I think we've seen kind of similar things before with teachers and students. But I thought it was a straightforward, well done movie, feel good movie. Divine Joy Randolph, who won Best Supporting Actress, really good in it. So yeah, solid flick.
It's Divinay.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
Well,
it's
she had a
okay.
good acceptance speech last night too.
She did. Mm-hmm. Very dramatic.
I liked her in My Name is Dolomite. She was in
I
there.
haven't seen that.
Good movie.
Excellent.
Okay. Before we get out of here, Steven, I just have one question for you.
Oh boy.
Would you ever try a cheesa?
What's that?
Have you seen these commercials for KFC's cheesa or chizza or whatever the hell it's called?
No.
It's a piece of fried chicken with cheese on top and pepperoni. And that is KFC's
Hang
pizza.
on.
Although it's not a pizza, it's cheesa.
We're gonna open up the
sure.
website here.
Yeah, there's commercials running for it all the time.
We are gonna be doing it. It's not pizza. It's chizza. Brings
Chizza.
the global bestseller to the U.S. menu for the. So it's literally chicken as a crust with cheese and pepperoni on top.
Yeah. This goes back to when they had the heart attack sandwich, if you remember, where it was 2 pieces of chicken with
Mhm.
bacon and
Yeah.
patty and cheese, and your arteries will just fill up automatically.
Wasn't that the double down? And they call
the
that the
double
double
down?
down?
The double down. Yep, I remember it in college. Never had it, but my friends always wanted to do it, and I was like, I may be super young, but I don't want to do that. This I would try, and I actually would be down to do it on the pod, because if we're not doing any, well, we'll do it for NBA playoff time. We'll do the hot sauce stuff, but maybe I just do food reviews, huh? Or I just tried weird foods.
As punishments?
Not punishments, just like a segment.
Sure.
All right then. Then
Maybe
I'll
if you
try
want
this
to try
out.
that.
this-
What kind of
this-
weird foods are we talking here?
Just weird shit that you see on, like this, or what was the one we did a couple years ago? The flaming hot Buffalo Wild Wings at Applebee's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Not
Yeah.
bad.
I may try this out and then not eat anything the rest of the day.
Yeah, it's a no. That's a no from me, dog, on the chizza. I'm out on the chizza. Unless we're talking KFC Twister wraps, I am out on any Kentucky Fried Chicken related items.
But you'll do Taco Bell.
Of course. What are you doing?
Hey,
Yeah, I'm not psychotic.
I mean, come on. Is Taco Bell that much better than KFC?
Yeah.
You're insane.
In taste, yeah. Everything. Texture.
Well, I know it's 2 different types of food, but still crap.
Oh my god, whatever they do to that beef, man. Oh, unbelievable.
All right, I will try this chizza at some point. See, it's better than laying cement, Steven.
You asked me to try things to take your mind off of football. What do you think? Eating weird food is going to take your mind off free agency? No, you're going to eat the weird food while you're staring at Twitter. Laying down cement, you're fully invested in that.
Couldn't I
All
look
right.
at my phone while I lay cement?
No, because you need to pay attention.
Okay, I don't know how I'm going to accomplish this. Who do I talk to? I talk to construction workers and say, "Hey, you guys take 5."
Dude,
I got
a
this.
cement guy. Don't worry about it. All right.
Do you
I'll
really?
get you hooked up. Yeah.
So you got a scuba girl and you got a cement guy.
Yeah. Yeah. The scuba girl's actually real. The cement guy's not real.
Oh, yeah, I had a feeling. And on that note, Steven, anything else you want to get into?
Shout out to the women's soccer team getting the Gold Cup victory over Brazil. Big W there.
Ooh.
And also, did you see? I don't know if you saw the trade on Friday, but this was a pretty big deal. We should bring on our guy
Tomas Hurdle.
Tomas Hurdle, gone to the Golden Knights.
Yeah.
Even though the Sharks look at it like a rivalry because, well, the Golden Knights are the one that kind of took them over in the Western Conference. I don't know how much the Golden Knights look at it a rivalry with the Sharks because the Sharks have not been good the past 3 years. So while the Golden Knights have just been, thriving. So that sucked. And then you got Bay FC coming up here in sorry, Jesse, it's just reality. And we got Bay FC coming up here on Sunday. So that's exciting. National Women's Soccer League? No? Nothing?
No. Hey.
Not into it, huh?
Wow.
No, Derek, women's
no.
sports.
What's that?
Nothing. Keep going.
I'll leave it there. Thanks everybody checking us out tonight for the fuckery show. We'll do one again on Wednesday when the new league year officially starts. Thanks to everybody in the chat tonight, the Ernies, AJ Cruz. I think that was it. Oh, and Alon. What's up, Alon? I don't hate women's sports. Stop saying that, Steven. On that note, Steven, say what you always say.
Shout out to everyone that's also been listening, man. We got quite a few through Twitter here. So shout out to all of you.
People are into the fuckery. Come on.
People are into it. All right. If you want to catch us, we'll be on Spotify and I think wherever you get your podcast, catch us live here. What we're going Monday, Wednesday, and what are we going to try for the weekends on Saturday?
Should we do a St. Patrick's Day show on Sunday?
No, I think I'm busy on that day. We'll figure something out.
All right. We'll figure it out.
All right.
Until then, we'll be here for Wednesday show. Steven, say what you always say.
It is just our opinion. Man.